topsoil. Slope it down away from the house. Another beautiful working day. Here's the finished product, almost. Got the foundation backfilled, all by hand. Pick and shovel and wheelbarrow. Got a little more to fill in here. A couple places around the back. All the pipes are buried. That was a major project this year. Let's see if I can get over around the other side, get a shot of the other wall. Nice straight wall. I hear my phone ringing, so I've got to go answer it. November 11th, 2008. Still working, but I got all the actual outside work done that I wanted to get done this year. I installed Zoftis vent covers on all the eaves. That was a job and a half. Every one of those required drilling tiny holes and pounding tiny nails with nail sets. And I also got some flashing installed that I wanted put in along this roof line, and there'll be board trim over the top of that with the batten boards, and then of course the wood trim around all the windows. And I'm putting in the final windows. Just got a few more of these, and I've got a few of the smaller windows along the top to install, and of course the octagon windows. But it'll be pretty much battened down for the winter. Next year I'll get some doors when I can afford it. But I got a lot done this year. Amazing what you can do when you're unemployed. This was a major project. Greenhouse wall. Glad it's done. And see if I can get a shot from the inside looking out the windows. Really makes it look finished. Here's the inside. Looks great looking out. I like the grids in the windows. The upper floors. And then the grids in the skylights match the grids in the windows. It's a little dark in here. Once the windows are installed, I'm going to start working on all the floor joists. I got some piles of timbers here that will be disappearing soon. I'll have the upper floors done. And once all that stuff is out of the way, I can start leveling off the floor. I don't know if the ground's going to freeze as much inside. It's going to be a lot of pick and shovel work. And get the floor poured next year. Get the chimney built. And actually start thinking about moving in. A lot of interior work left to do, but compared to what's been done, it's a drop in the bucket. It's nice to be able to look out those windows. Winter wonderland. Won't be long, the snow will be so high you won't be able to look out those windows. Although with the landscaping and the backfilling I did, the land slopes away from the building now, so it won't pile up as here we go again. It's a new season. It's April 20th, 2009. And I am installing floor joists for the upper floor. I've got probably a third of the way done. Interesting shadows. And once I get all those floor joists installed, which are all these piles, it'll free up the downstairs floor so I can start construction on that this year. I'm going to try to get up the ladder and get a view from above. Nice sunny day, a little cool out, but that's where the stairs will be coming up. I'm removing these walkway planks a few at a time as I work my way across, and then just laying them down across these joists to get them out of the way and give me a place to walk. A lot of floor left to do, so I better get to work. Progress on the floor joists. Got about 3/4 of the floor done. Just that section over there left to do. This is the upstairs. Starting to look like a floor. Can hardly move with this old recorder. It keeps dying on me. The upstairs floor joists all nailed in place. About 3/4 of the way done. Going to finish that section over there. And there's the place where the chimney will come up. There'll be a little sort of semicircle railing around that opening. And there'll be railings along all those posts there, looking down into the living room section. Of course, these will be divided up into rooms up here. The kids can't wait until I get the floor in. My son wants to spend the summer up here. He can't wait for his own room. Beautiful sunny day. It's April 29th. We've had some really warm weather this year. But there's a frost coming tonight, so it's getting back to normal. And I'm going to have a spiral staircase over in this corner. From down below up to the second floor. Okay, the latest project I've been working on this spring is I'm digging a trench curtain drain because of the downslope of the land. Water runs right towards the house, so I'm trying to divert any water. I did put drainage tile around the perimeter of the footing. This is just an additional safeguard. Keeps water from flowing underground and under the footings, especially in the spring. You don't want the chance of frost heaves occurring with ice and water buildup underneath the house. And I'm getting ready to put in the concrete floor and sealing up everything in there, so I'm going to make sure there's no water under the building whatsoever. And it also will keep a lot of water from possibly leaking into the root cellar. But it's a lot of handwork, and I'm filling it up with large stones and pea stone. And then the sewer drainage pipe comes out of the wall there, and I've got a clean out pipe right underneath where that rock is, because there's going to be a slight elbow where it goes into the septic tank eventually. What I'm doing is filling the trench with smaller stones and then pouring in pea stones so it can absorb lots of water, so that water runs down the slope, soaks into the ground, and hopefully run off through the curtain drain. It slopes downward that way, and then down on the end there's a sort of a dry well. A lot of work for a little trench. You got to keep the water away from the foundation. It's very important. Here's my pile of subflooring for the upstairs floor. I'm going to go straight across the railing between the posts, and the floor is going to curve around. Here's the temporary stairs. That's where eventually the permanent stairs will be. All the floor joist in. It's a major job. This opening over here is where the chimney will come up through. There'll be a railing around the edge, so the heat from the stove can come up into the second floor. And then the floor, there'll be a railing all along these posts. I'm going to make the railing out of natural maple logs, little small trees, debark and stain and varnish. Real natural look. And the stairs, of course, will be over there. Those are the temporary stairs. The floor is going to curve around over by those three little windows. The railing will curve that way too. And just be a little place to set a chair, read a book by the window. And then the door to the master bedroom will be along that wall. And rather than a straight across wall, it's an angled wall. From that post to that post. So the angle of the floor parallels the angle of the wall. And I'm in the process now of final preparation. I'm going to nail in some spaces around the edges before I start the subfloor. And on top of the subflooring, it'll be a wooden board floor, probably spruce. And I've got a planer. I'm going to plane all the boards smooth. What I plan to do is take a 1-inch thick board, run it through my saw, split them into 1/2 inch, and then plane off one side smooth. All rough cut boards, of course. Be a lot cheaper way to have a nice wooden floor than buying any store processed type of flooring. Pretty cavernous. There, how's it feel?
Okay.
You're in your bedroom.
Well, we're in his bedroom.
This is my room, Katie.
No, I refuse.
It's our first subfloor piece on the upstairs floor.
What?
I said it's the first subfloor piece on the upstairs floor. Whoops. Got all the floor joists in.
Hi, future me.
Hi, future.
Got lots of nails
Do we have to pound them all?
and about 47 sheets of strand board to lay down.
Don't hit that one.
Oh, shh. What?
Hey Hobbes, how are you? This old machine, I don't know half the time what records and what doesn't. But in case I didn't get it, I brought my saw up and hitched the vacuum cleaner hose to it. Shot back. Keep the sawdust amount to a minimum. And my plants are thriving under the skylights this year. Well, this is what I've been doing for the past week. I had to dig up my septic system because I had some pipes that had collapsed and broken, and I had it pumped out at the same time. Apparently when it was first installed, I wasn't here the day that the pipes were laid, but they must have run out of the heavy PVC piping because they installed the last 20 feet was this cheap, thin stuff that just collapsed underground. But anyway, it gave me a chance to put in this elbow, so when I get ready to attach it to the house, it'll be pretty simple to just dig up a little section and attach the pipes. And also, I had written down the last time I had it pumped out, I had it drawn on my map, but I couldn't find the map, and so I had to kind of guess, and I started digging in one spot, couldn't find it, found the pipe, eventually found the opening to the tank. But I've got it on video now. It's 19 feet, pretty much a direct line from the octagon window straight across to the tree. In there somewhere. So hopefully the next 5, 6, 7 years, if I have to get it pumped again, it won't be such a major job finding it. So now I've got to backfill all this, and this was all dug by hand, pick and shovel, and it was packed. It was like digging into concrete. Just right under the driveway. And there was a few days where that was the toilet right there. Okay, I gotta get back to work. I'm balanced on the top of a ladder, and I'm trying to record another invention, sort of hanging scaffolding I call it. I needed some way to finish painting this section of the roof, and I'm working on window trim, and I normally have a safety belt with a little latch and dog runner, but I needed something that I could support myself a little better with both hands free, so I devised this little system. Works out pretty well. I've got one little section to finish painting, and then all the primer painting will be done. Then I've got to turn around and do the finish colors, but not right away. I've got other priorities to deal with. See if I can get a shot of the garden from up here. Started out really rainy this year, so a lot of things didn't amount to much, but then the second half of the summer the rain let up. Tomato plants are a little thin. They didn't bush up like they normally do. Okay, I gotta get back to work, finish painting. Okay, now I'm inside. I'm gonna have to get a little bit of the progress of the upstairs floor. I moved some things that were in the temporary house. Kids' toys and things, games. Just to make some room in the temporary house. And it sure did make a lot of room. It's amazing how much stuff I had packed in there. But the floor has progressed. A little more than 3/4 done. Subflooring, that is. Kind of had to stop for a while. I've been doing a lot of pointing and painting this summer. Once the subflooring is down, then I'll put down the main floor. Do a lot of interior work. Once this floor is done, a lot of the stuff that's on the downstairs, in the downstairs, I'm going to move up here to clear the gravel floor, start leveling and pouring concrete. It's getting closer. Plants are going to hate to go back inside when the cold weather hits. I dug up an interesting little tuft of grass the other day and planted it. I saw it outside. I just thought it was so unique. Okay. Back to painting. More progress on the floor. It's almost done. I've got just that section there to finish. I've got the opening, a little bit around the opening for the spiral staircase over there. Hey Hobbes, what are you doing? He likes to come up here and swipe pieces of wood and run outside with it. Sometimes there are things I'm using, but he finds it amusing game. I've already started storing some things to make room in the other temporary home. My first installed door. It's not completely installed, but it's installed enough so I can open it. An outside view of the door. Look at that. Sure makes it look finished. I've also been working a lot on these trim boards around the eaves, all along there. These. There. Doesn't look like much, but those little jobs involve moving the ladder, climbing up, climbing down, moving the ladder a little, climbing up, climbing down. Oh my goodness. Just very time consuming for little things like that. A lot of the leaves have gone. It's almost November. It's October 29th today. Everything's out of the garden except a few carrots and some parsnips. Just collard greens are still growing. I've got my wood in for once, early. So I'm pretty well set for winter. I want to get the rest of these doors put in. Try to get the place sealed up as much as possible to keep the critters out. I've had squirrels in there and mice. Mice have already started nesting in some of the places I've put insulation in the walls. When I start insulating, I'm going to have to sheetrock right over, seal it in. So once mice get in there and they start nesting in that fiberglass, makes a real mess. Well, I gotta get to work. Okay.
Hi, honey. Oh, almost tripped. I'm so proud of you.
Oh.
Our door, isn't it beautiful? Our
Yes, it
lovely
is.
Home. You're so nice. Say something to me.
I'm not here.
Oh, you're not here?
There's an illusion.
It's an illusion? Welcome to Stonehaven. Look at our beautiful home. We're going to have years of happiness here and grow old.
Yes.
Okay, I'm out of the picture now.
Underground plumbing. This has been a job and a half to do. I have to get all these pipes lined up, proper positions, the toilets and the sinks and the tub. And then I have to bury everything before I start on the downstairs floor. That was a tricky. I had to cut through that carrier beam at the right angle. This is the upstairs plumbing job so far. Toilet's going there. Shower's going right here. The sink's over there. And that vent pipe will go right up to the ceiling and exit out the eaves. I started petitioning my son's room. He wants to move in early. Become a catch-all up here. I have to move things around every time I'm working in an area. I move everything in one spot. Putting in the downstairs floor, so I've got to clear all that out. But it's coming along. Won't be much longer. That'll be doorway to a nice outside deck, covered porch, someday. Still recording on this old machine. Now I'm working on the downstairs floor, and it involves lots of pick and shovel work, leveling off all the gravel, and I've got my trusty leveling devices. And hopefully this recorder won't kick out on me like it usually does. I'm trying to get the last of the plumbing done. That's going to be buried. That's the device I use for stomping down on the gravel, packing it in place. I've got about half of the floor leveled. I have to keep moving everything out of the way. Got so much stuff down here. It's leveled up to there. That's where the bathtub will eventually go. Different angle of all the pipes. A lot of work figuring it all out, gluing it in place just to bury it up. That's where the downstairs toilet, clean out. And that drain will go to the bathroom sink and the washer. And those pipes go to the kitchen sink. One side, and the other side will be a clean out. Now it's slowly getting buried. A different angle here. A lot of work. It's all pick and shovel and wheelbarrow, and it's getting there. Once I get it leveled, lay down the vapor barrier and some foam insulation, some reinforced screen, possibly some radiant floor heat tubing. Still haven't decided what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to pour the first slab, 4 inches thick. And then on top of that, I'm going to pour another slab with the flagstones embedded. I finally got that huge rock out of the way, sticking up above floor level. Rolled it down and I'm burying it underneath. The floor is slowly getting leveled. There's going to be a few little mesas like this left over, but I have to add another inch or two on top of this, so that'll go back once I get it all leveled. Then I'll just add the extra inch and go back and pound it all down nice and tight. And I got more junk to move out of the way. Old scrap metal and bags of garbage. Finally getting to pouring the floor, the downstairs floor. Been a lot of work. I've had to level everything, pick and shovel. I still have a few piles left over I have to haul out. And then I lay down the vapor barrier. It's a heavy gauge plastic. Glue it all around the edges. These boards are just something I can walk on so I don't puncture through the stones underneath. And then the blue insulation, it's a specially designed foam for floors. And then I made these forms. I have to pour sections at a time because I'm doing it, of course, with my trusty old mixer by hand. So I figured I would pour sections inside these forms. I drilled holes on the sides, inserted these heavy gauge wires. They have loops on one end. So once I pour that, then I can disassemble pull the screws out of the frame, slide it off the ends of those wires, and then loop those ends, and then attach the frames to the slab I just poured. It's kind of a complicated system, but it's easier than it sounds. And this is the first layer slab. Now I'm also going to insert little U-shaped wires as I screed it and level it into the top, so they'll be sticking up every so often. And on top of this I'm going to lay a wire grid, and that's just for strength so it doesn't crack and pull apart. And also I'll have that wire grid to also wire the radiant heat tubing, and then any electrical conduits, anything else that needs to be buried in the floor. And then the second slab will be the same thickness, and I'll finish the top off with whatever, like flagstone, or some of the rooms may be just a cheap tile or something, so I might just level it off flat. Like the back rooms, they don't all have to be flagstone, but I'll decide when I get there, like everything else I've done. But it's a lot farther along than it was before. That's where the toilet's going to be, in the bathroom. I just set it there. Now inside these forms, I'm going to place some stones just to take up volume so I don't have to use as much cement. Concrete. And I have to cut the foam to fit around all these pipes. This is the inlet where the water line will come in. I'm going to push it through from the outside and it'll come up through here. It's all insulated. And I'm going to have to cut the foam all around these pipes over here, sewage pipes and whatnot. Those are the stones I'm going to use to fill. I collected a bunch of these at my trusty gravel pit. And they're fairly flat, so they don't stick up above. Because once I get this poured in, I've got to screed it with a board, 2x4. Here's the first section poured, almost. Just wanted to show the process. I fill with as many stones as I can, just to use less concrete. And those are the little U-shaped pieces of metal I stuck in. That way I can wire on. Stupid old recorder keeps cutting out on me. Those U-shaped wires are placed in so I can tie down the metal grid on top for the second layer of the slab. I like recording this stuff, but I hate to stop work to do it, which means back to work. That's what's left. I've got to haul out and dump outside. I've leveled the entire floor. I've leveled the entire floor. And putting in the first layer of the slab. But I ran out of time this year. Too cold to pour concrete and glue and everything.